Hey, it's Lance McGowan here with Tropical Smoothie Guy, and I wanted to talk to you today about the top three maltodextrin dangers you should know about. This is my blog post on tropicalsmoothieguy.com/maltodextrin/dangers. Okay, are there any real maltodextrin dangers you need to be concerned about? There's been a lot of awareness about MSG, high fructose corn syrup, and hydrogenated oils, but maltodextrin is in a lot more products and has flown under the radar for quite some time. You can see a picture here of the corn that's being genetically modified. But yeah, corn is one of the big offenders, and I actually have a little post on my Instagram account right here to the right. But we're going to talk about my early struggles and old way of thinking. I used to think that all supplements were created equal and that the ingredients didn't matter as long as it came from a well-known company. I struggled with knowing what was really in the food I was buying, but was looking for an answer since I wanted what was best for my body. The increasing use of maltodextrin as a cheap filler in everyday products has really changed the way I think about food additives, and I wanted to share that information with you as well. The top three maltodextrin dangers you should know about is number one, maltodextrin from GMO or genetically modified organisms, also known as corn. Almost all the maltodextrin used in health foods, vitamins, and supplements are derived from genetically modified corn. The only exception is products with the USDA organic ingredient label. Maltodextrin can still be found in organic and natural products as well, but at least it won't be GMO. So there's a big difference there. Corn is subsidized by the US government, making it fairly inexpensive to use. A lot of times farmers can produce it below their cost. And corn-based maltodextrin is a cheap filler that adds fat-like body and sweetness to products. Genetically modified foods, especially corn, contain toxic chemicals and pesticides that can wreak havoc on your digestive system over time and tax your organs of elimination, i.e., liver, kidneys, bladder, lymphatic system, etc. And according to the Institute for Responsible Technology, several animal studies indicate serious health risks associated with GMO food, including infertility, immune problems, accelerated aging, faulty insulin regulation, and changes in major organs and the gastrointestinal system. I know a lot of people who are for genetically modified organisms or GMOs state that it feeds the world, but in reality, we don't have a supply issue with feeding the world. It's a distribution issue. I was a major with Ohio State for marketing and transportation, and a lot of times it's not. I mean, we're in the U.S. We have more food than we can eat, and actually we're eating all that and becoming obese. But but really, the issue is getting the food that we have to that remote, isolated village in Africa or wherever the need is. And a lot of times they don't have the infrastructure or roads or a way to get it there. So the challenge is actually distribution and delivery, not a surplus of food. So GMOs is not a good solution for quote unquote feeding the world, which is one of the main arguments that that are for GMOs have. All right, so we're going to move on to number two, which is misleading ingredient labels. Product ingredients that say natural flavors, that's a really big one, could mean anything, but it could also mean that it contains maltodextrin from GMO corn. Manufacturers don't have to tell you what natural flavor or natural whatever means since most people don't think twice about it or never question it at all. There's definitely a gap in the regulation here, and supplements and vitamins are really lax on regulation and aren't regulated to a point where there's standards with regards to that. The saying, what you don't know won't hurt you, could be causing you potential health issues that you may not even know about, or may be causing you to misdiagnose an ailment's root cause. So we're going to go on to number three. Maltodextrin is in almost everything. So maltodextrin can be made from corn, potato, rice, or wheat. This is especially a concern for people with celiac disease, although the processing of wheat removes the gluten, making it gluten free, according to the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry. In general, US based maltodextrin is made from corn and European based maltodextrin is made from wheat. If you grab five products from your kitchen cupboards, get ready, go! Right, chances are that at least one of them contain maltodextrin. Below are some of the most common products that contain maltodextrin. That includes baked goods, canned fruits, cereals, candy, chips like Cheetos, energy drinks and powders, fat free products, sugar free products, frozen yogurt, mass gainers, meats, especially processed meats, meal replacement shakes like Ensure or Advocare, nutrition bars, pharmaceuticals used in medications a lot as a binding agent, protein powders, salad dressings, spice mixes, Splenda. I mean, it's everywhere. It's definitely, as you can see, the list is very long, and maltodextrin is typically found in processed foods. So when I'm looking for foods, I want minimally processed. Almost everything is minimally processed. Like extra virgin olive oil is minimally processed because they have to still, it's cold pressed, but they still have to press it and squeeze it, and it's a form of processing. But it's not overly processed where it strips it or refines it to the point where now it's an omega-6 filled oil like corn oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil, stuff like that. So I want cold pressed, minimally processed foods, ideally. And so, what is the solution? The safest bet is to use products with USDA organic ingredients and stick to whole food derived products. They will typically say organic, raw, and plant based on them. It is also helpful to look for tapioca maltodextrin or no maltodextrin at all in the ingredient list when shopping for supplements or vitamins. Taking the time to inform yourself will definitely help you make a more educated decision when it comes to the health of you and your family. Now we're going to talk about what is maltodextrin exactly, though. Maltodextrin is a commercial sweetener made from cornstarch. It's made with a process called starch hydrolysis, which converts the starch into cornstarch into a more complex carbohydrate. High fructose corn syrup and crystalline fructose are also made this way. Dextrose is the most common form of natural glucose and is found in plants and animals. Maltodextrin typically contains 3 to 19 dextrose units, which contains less calories than regular sugar. 1 gram of maltodextrin typically contains about 4 calories. The real concern is where the maltodextrin is sourced from and other ingredients, quote unquote, hiding in the food or supplement you're using, which is why they are hidden toxins and the name of my blog. According to the sweeteners and sugar alternatives in the food technology, most people consume maltodextrin frequently without experiencing any adverse effects. Keyword, most people. What about the people who do have issues in the short term or the long term? A lot of times we look at the short term. Did it cause me something right now? But what about long term effects? There is an accumulation effect that toxins have on the body and our cells, especially if we're not detoxing properly. So there's a lot to this besides, as I alluded to earlier, feeding the world or using a cheap food-based product to proliferate the shelves of stores. There's a lot of potential long-term issues. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about how is maltodextrin used. Some companies use maltodextrin as a filler to help enhance workout performance since it can increase energy. According to the glucose syrups, technology, and applications, maltodextrin helps maintain increased glucose levels in your bloodstream, which provides energy to your muscles. Some bodybuilders also use maltodextrin as a weight gainer. The top 4 reasons maltodextrin is used by companies are listed below. It gives fat-like body to food products, which helps with texture. It increases food shelf life, longer expiration date. Mixes easy with other ingredients. That means it plays well with others, at least the ingredient wise, not the body wise all the time. It's cheap to make and produce. So if it's quick, easy, and profitable, companies definitely want to do that, especially if they're public, because pleasing shareholders is definitely something that is top of the mind. 3 common side effects, however, of consuming maltodextrin can include rebound hypoglycemia, which is a sudden decrease in blood sugar. This can be remedied by consuming carbohydrates at regular intervals before, during, and after your workout. Flatulence and bloating. This is due to the bacteria in your gut becoming extremely active when you digest complex carbs like maltodextrin. There's weight gain. So, maltodextrin, like any carb, still has calories. Any excess calories not used by your body as energy is stored as fat. And especially because it's an isolated source of that carbohydrate. It's not coming in the whole food plant based form like an apple, which still has sugar, but it has a natural sugar, number one. But number two, it comes with fiber, which helps slow that impact on your bloodstream. Summary so far is that maltodextrin is like a wolf in sheep's clothing and could be just as bad, if not worse, than using sugar. It gets into your bloodstream fast, and it has 3 options when it enters your body. Number 1, it could repair your muscles and your tissues. It could give you energy, or it could get stored as fat. Since maltodextrin is basically an isolated and overly processed carb, it doesn't have the same effect as real complex carbs that absorb into your bloodstream more slowly because they usually come with fiber, protein, or healthy fats when found in whole foods such as blueberries or blackberries. I'm a really big fan of berries. Actually, blackberry has the highest percentage or ratio of fiber compared to all the other berries. But avocados are great source of healthy fats. May not be a good source of like sugar, but like apples are a really good source of fiber too, although they still come with sugar. So the point is whole foods is really the goal, ideally organic. But what's even worse about all this is that maltodextrin is hard to avoid since it's in almost everything. We also don't know the long-term effects of maltodextrin derived from GMO corn since there hasn't been a long-term independent meta study that's peer-reviewed and not biased because it's being paid by some food industry um, that has been done on the safety of maltodextrin. So when in doubt, I go without. Okay, some people are like, they have the mentality of, oh, there hasn't been anything to prove that it's wrong or bad for us, so then we should use it. I mean, that's what they said for cigarettes, in the 1900s early, and that's what they said about DDT and Agent Orange, and now, they found after research that it's very harmful for us and can be carcinogenic. So I don't want to wait until I find out that something's bad. And the US actually has really, really lax policies on all that compared to the Europe. Like Europe has completely banned GMOs. They know that it's not natural and they rather go err on the side of caution rather than, oh, nothing's happened yet, so let's keep using it. So I am in line with Europe and their policies with regards to quality and food safety versus the US mentality. And if, for the people who are really for GMOs, that's fine. You can do that. Let's have a, educated discussion about it and we can agree to disagree. But at the same time, look at the health of the US. We are struggling with so many things that may not necessarily be related to maltodextrin and GMOs, but like, obesity, cancer, type 2 diabetes, a lot of things. And so what we need to do is approach things from a more natural standpoint. GMOs aren't natural. They're not the way that God made things. They're not the way that Mother Nature made things, if you believe that. And so that is really what my point is how do we go back to a more natural way of eating that really honors our body and honors the earth? Okay? So that's my main thing. It's not to start an epic battle on GMOs versus not GMOs. I just want to go back to what's natural, not the marketing term natural, but the real natural where it's, low to the ground, straight from the earth. Man hasn't tampered with it. Now, granted, some people are like, oh, well, every fruit and vegetable you see has been hybridized and modified in some way to make it bigger or even if they didn't mess with the DNA of it, they could still be, or if it doesn't, produce pesticides or is pesticide or herbicide resistant, like tomatoes, like they've bred out some of the poisons out of it, or bananas, they've made them so that there's less seeds in it. There is some slight genetic modification with in the form of hybridizing foods or making them have a desired trait of one way, shape, or form or another. I get that, but at the same time, I just want to go with organic, ideally non-GMO, directly foods where they're producing pesticides from the plant or they're pesticide resistant because of the genetic modification. How, the size of it or how many seeds they have or if they're poisonous or not in small quantities is another topic, but I'm just going with more like the direct toxin that is produced by the plant or resistant from the sprayings that go on. So, but what's next? Well, the first thing to do is start looking at the ingredient labels of all your supplements, vitamins, and health foods. GMO corn based maltodextrin could be very well in there. If maltodextrin is not listed in the ingredients, look for any natural flavorings that are not USDA organic and research what that really means. You may have to go to the company website or even call the manufacturer to get all the details. And I encourage you to do that because, a lot of times it's more marketing based on the website, and I would see if the customer service person really knows what they're talking about, or at least be directed to somebody who can help you and really find out what is in not only the natural flavorings or any product ingredient that's more bundled or grouped together things, because natural flavorings could mean a lot of things. They don't individually list all the individual ingredients, so I would definitely research what that is. And you can learn more about the hidden toxins in your food supplements, obviously with this part of my webinar, which is the holistic nutrition course part 1, which is how maltodextrin could have more GM than Detroit. Boom. That's what really this is, and this is just kind of an online little webinar here that I'm doing on that, and it's just a fun way to think about it. But it really is so prevalent that Detroit should be worried. We all should be worried about it, and I think that we should always err on the side of caution and go with things that are organic, non-GMO, and close to the earth, because that's how they were intended, really, for our bodies, not for man to tamper with and play God. So that is my synopsis or summary, and check out my blog post here so you can learn more. And make sure to share this with a friend that would benefit from it. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to me on YouTube. Got lots more videos of me doing trainings and other places in Las Vegas. And follow me on Instagram, Tropical Smoothie Guy. I'm really just focused on educating others and helping them learn the facts about stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at thetropicalsmoothieguy@gmail.com. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you or discuss things further. Other than that, hey, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for being you, and take care, and I'll talk to you soon.